Welcome to NDTR Spotlight, a show where we highlight former and current NDTRs. And NDTR, if you don't know, stands for Nutritionist Diet Technician Registered. They also go by the credential DTR, which stands for Diet Technician Registered. In order to become an NDTR, you have to graduate from an accredited program, take an exam, and participate in continual education. Welcome to NDTR Spotlight. I'm your host, Marie Lorraine. Today is a pause and review as we reflect over the interviews we had this past November. And our interviewers, they were all so unique, great stories, and really making awesome moves in the field of dietetics. And so specifically, what a common theme in the interviews that I saw this month was tips on how to find a job as a DTR. So we have 3 clips coming up from Taylor, Jessica, and Dre as they explain how they navigated the difficult search of finding a job for a DTR. As DTR, you can't just type DTR in a search engine and jobs come up. You have to be a little bit more strategic about your approach, and the next couple clips will give you some really good strategies on how to find a job as a DTR. So let's watch them.
Yeah, that's one of the things I did when I first graduated was I emailed all of the local private practice dietitians in my area. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know what a dietetic technician registered is, but here is all that I can do under your supervision. So if you want to add somebody to your practice and pay them a lot less, I'm your girl. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pay me dietitian salary. So, but I can do everything a dietitian can do as long as you deem me competent. So like, let's build that relationship.
So I've never searched based on the NDTR. I've always searched based on nutrition or public health or health education, like those kind of keywords. Mm-hmm. I really never look for DTR specific jobs because I just don't think that they're going to be I don't think that they're going to be offering enough, to be honest. You know, I don't think that they are seeing the value enough when they're posted. And so yeah, I think just searching for outside of the box keywords, search for jobs that RDs would search for as well. You know, anything that's not MMT based, we can do.
So I had been wanting to involve myself really in everything nutrition related to really strengthen my resume and experience. And but also aside from that, I really wanted to like grow my network. So, you know, I have my Instagram, but I also want to grow my personal network aside from LinkedIn. Yeah. So I started pursuing or looking up volunteer opportunities, like part-time or temp work while I was still working my full-time job to make it all work. But then I did come across a job on Indeed, and it was with a very reputable hospital in my state. And I came across the job description and the qualifications, and it clearly said it was for a dietetic technician. However, in small print, it did say that they were pursuing students that were in process with their degree if they had a bachelor's degree as well. And that bachelor's degree could have been in anything. So my light bulb went off and I got so excited and I applied. I sent my resume. I tweaked my resume. I had my professors look at my resume and they were kind of crossing their fingers for me. So I applied, and maybe 2 or 3 months later, I got a call. I wasn't expecting it because I hadn't heard back. And after 3 or 4 interviews and a few months later, they did offer me a position. So I will be actually a dietetic technician 1. So it is a tier below the registered dietetic technicians. So the main difference that I saw, they did not send me the job description of the dietetic registered position, but I'm assuming that those positions that have the credential, they will be working more so one-on-one with the patients. Whereas in my role, I'll be helping with the data entry, the menu, and the diet order orders and working with the DTRs, but since I don't have that credential, it's still a tier below. So it's contingent on me getting my credential when I graduate and, you know, moving forward that way. So it's definitely a great start, and it works with my school schedule. So I'm very, very excited.
Hopefully those tips were helpful for you. If anything stood out to you, make sure to watch their full interview, because that's just a little clip of all the awesome information they gave. We're gonna switch a little bit here and now talk about what a reason to stay a DTR. So Dre is a DTR, and she is actually the subunit chair of a DTR group in the DPG group in the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. That's a long sentence, but down below I'll put a link to it, and it's also, you can find a link on our website, NDTR Spotlight, and she kind of shines a really good reason on why a reason to stay a DTR and not pursue the dietitian credential. So let's hear what Dre has to say about that.
So I, considered reapplying for RD internships, especially since I had my NDTR. I had more experience. I felt like my application was a lot stronger. But I also was like, maybe I could actually use my financial resources and my time a little bit better and go get my master's, or just diversify my interests and try something else, because I'm already enjoying what I'm doing, and I already have the credential and I'm practicing at the top of my scope. So that's what made me stay an NDTR instead of going the RD route. So originally I wanted to be an RD, and that was my dream since starting like high school. And so turning the curve and becoming an NDTR was a huge shift in mindset and change for me, but just seeing the value that it brought to my life. Like now have my master's. If I went for my internship, I would have never been able to do that financially and time wise. I'd be a year and 2 years behind or so. So it really afforded me that, and I'm really thankful for it.
When Dre said that, I loved her reasoning behind just being a DTR. She was able to have a fulfilling career, and has a fulfilling career as a DTR. She's active in the academy. She's in a job placement that is really helping people and she has good evidence-based nutritional knowledge, and she was able to widen her scope of practice with her master's degree. So I really loved how she explained the benefits of maybe not going that dietitian credential route, but staying a DTR. And so with that in mind, we're going to look at Priscilla. Priscilla is a private practice DTR, and see what limitations she's experienced as a DTR in private practice.
Having a full-time job at the American Heart Association allows me to make the money that I need to support myself and my family. But then I also have my private practice where I can fulfill my passions and what I want to do and work with my ideal clientele. And so it can get a little hairy sometimes, especially during Heart Walk season when we're at our peak at the American Heart Association. But I do really well to balance my time. So if I ever have clients that I need to meet with, that typically happens in the evenings or on the weekends. And I try to do a whole lot of programs that are self-hosted so that my clients can do those on their own, and then schedule appointments to meet with me in between. There are some things that have come up that create barriers for me in terms of the stretch of or the extent of services I can offer. One of those obviously is scope of practice. I have to be very careful about the types of services that I offer. Here in Texas, we are a little bit more lenient, so I can do things like create meal plans for my clients, but I can't do medical nutrition therapy. And so as an RD, there are some things that I would be able to do, such as billing insurance, for example, that would make it easier for me to expand my practice. But for the time being, the services that I'm offering and the types of services that I'm interested in offering fall well within my scope of practice. I do have some plans in the near future. Well, I say near future, but it may be in the next year or two to expand and hopefully bring on a registered dietitian to consult with, or at least expand my referrals in case I have clients that are maybe at higher risk that are out of my scope of practice. But primarily, I try to make sure that whatever it is that I'm offering, I can handle within my scope of practice without any issues. But it's been an interesting world to navigate. There isn't a lot of information out there for DTRs in private practice. Almost everything that I found or any research that I had done or contacts that I made were registered dietitians. And so in the beginning, it was confusing for me because I didn't understand what I could and couldn't do. But the more I dove in and the more I did research and the more I went back to the academy for information with regards to regulations, the more I realized this is definitely something I can do. I just need to maybe handle it with kid gloves and make sure that I'm staying within my scope.
Okay, so there's so many more awesome clips I wish I could have added in this, but I wanted to keep it kind of short. But if any of these interviewers or stories stood out to you, please check out their full interview. You can find them linked down in the comments below. And I'm just going to end with some really awesome and encouraging advice from Priscilla on networking and connecting and reaching out to other dietitians and DTRs.
I just want to encourage all DTRs out there to get involved in their community. If you're not interested in joining the academy, that's fine, but definitely look for peers in your area to connect with. DTRs and RDs alike. I feel like there has not been an RD that I've connected with that has not been willing to share their knowledge with me and their experience with me, whether it be in private practice or in whatever setting, in whatever capacity. I think it's really important that we all connect with each other and we utilize our knowledge collectively. And so one thing that I would share is the power of networking. I think it's so important for us to get out there. And this isn't something that I realized at the beginning of my career, but social media is a very powerful tool. Websites like LinkedIn and Facebook have become really powerful areas of networking for me. And I've met some of the most amazing DTRs in those areas. I have DTRs like yourself who have reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I've never met anybody who started a private practice. What does that look like? Or, I have a project coming up. Can I ask you some questions? And I just think it's about awareness. And I think networking is the beginning of that, creating awareness by creating networking connections. And so I would highly encourage other people to reach out, even if it's a stranger, and just send an email and say, hey, so great to meet you virtually. Can we chat? I know I personally love to do that, and I love having those conversations because you just learn so much.
Thanks so much for watching. That was our November overview. December is going to be a little bit less interviews because we have so many holidays and a festive time this year, but we are always looking for DTRs to spotlight, for DTRs to share their story and hopefully encourage other people. I'm super excited about this channel and this project. It is growing and I'm getting a lot of responses that this is helpful for people. So if you are a DTR, you're watching this, or you were a DTR, or you're a student pursuing the DTR credential and you feel like you have a unique story or advice, or you just want to share your story, please reach out. You can message NDTR Spotlight in the DMs on Instagram. You could email us, ndtrspotlight.com, or you can comment down below. Just reach out. We would love to connect with you and spotlight you on NDTR Spotlight. Thanks so much for watching.